What the fuck? Is it recording already? Holy shit!
It's going. Shame that's recorded.
Anything should.
Oh god. Do you need me to come up with something? Are you watching the World Cup?
No.
You're missing out. That's good shit.
Nobody cares.
Hey,
Nobody cares about soccer.
just because it's women doesn't mean you don't have to care.
Hey, that's not what.
That's what I heard from you.
No,
right now.
that is not.
You just
And
said, who cares?
That's not what I said. Fuck you.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of drama. Shit got real.
I heard something happen with the women.
That's real specific. I heard something happen with the women. There's a bunch of them. Okay.
What do you think about Trump's immigration policies?
I mean, we could talk about that because it's real fucking bad right now, dude.
Dude, we were gonna go to war.
I mean, that's a very different topic than what you initiated with. But yeah, we could talk about Iran if you want to as well.
It sucks that kids are getting.
What are we going to talk about? You're jumping around. Which are we talking about?
I want a MAGA shirt. Mexicans always get across.
So in the World Cup, America just beat Spain. So much fucking whiplash, dude. What the fuck? But I have seen that MAGA parody. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, I want that one.
Just wear that when you can cut this out, but wear that when those guys get tried and you go to their hearing.
That's not getting cut out. Oh god.
Yeah, that fucking Iran thing was terrifying.
Dude.
Because
yeah, I just woke up and I was like, okay, we got a drone shot out. And it's like 3 days later I was like, dude, it's crazy. We were gonna go to war. I was like, what the fuck? What do you mean we were gonna go to fucking war?
Because John Bolton is our NSA director. And it's John fucking Bolton, the guy who was leading the charge to get us to go to Iraq and Iran in the first place.
Holy shit, I thought you were just making a Game of Thrones reference.
No! No!
Holy shit.
This is a worse Bolton than those guys.
Fucking hell. Holy shit.
Yeah, he was like Bush's warmonger, and now he's Trump's warmonger.
God damn.
Trump was the same person in the room that stopped us from bombing Iranian defense places.
Trump was the person who stopped?
Well, because here's the story. In broad strokes of it, the day that we were going to bomb them back,
yeah,
after they shot down one of our drones,
yeah,
there was a meeting where a bunch of like NSC director personnel and like Defense Department people, because we still don't have a Secretary of Defense right now. Just so you know, that's going on. We still don't have, after the last one resigned. They were put together like a list of targets. Then later in the day, the president was supposed to be in the room for this. Obviously, he wasn't because he's Donald Trump and he was tweeting about something on Fox News. They narrowed it down to pretty much the one target they wanted to go for. And then later in the day, like aircraft carriers were moving into position in the waters. The planes were in the air to execute the attack. And at the last minute, Trump is like, hey, how many people are going to die when we do this? And they were estimating like over 100. And then a little while passed, and then he decided, nah, I don't want to do it. Planes are in the fucking air, ready to go, to bomb another country. And at the last second, Donald Trump is like, nah, let's not do this. What the fuck?
So I had heard that, you know, obviously they're trying to play into like Donald Trump's like saviorism or whatever, but I had heard that at the moment that Donald Trump decided to not bomb Iran, Putin had tweeted.
Putin tweets?
Yeah, apparently. But Putin had tweeted saying it would be a very bad idea to bomb Iran. And so supposedly, like, you know, because Trump's a Russian spy, they like, he read it and he was like, you know what? It's okay. Honestly, at this point, I couldn't give. I don't know. I couldn't give a shit if Donald Trump was a fucking Russian spy or not anymore. I just don't like the guy.
God damn. I don't care that the president of the United States is a Russian asset. I just don't like the guy. God damn it.
That's where we are at this point.
I don't fucking know, dude. It's all so bad. It's only been like 2.5 years of his presidency.
Almost 3.
There's still more than 1 to go. And that's assuming he doesn't win and get another 4.
Here's the thing. I'm pretty sure he will win. I just don't think the Democrats have anything like solid. What was that with Buttigieg?
Yeah.
Booty, rocking everywhere.
Yeah.
What was that? That somebody was like going after him. Like
the thing that just happened the other day.
I guess I don't know. Man, my other day is like 2 weeks ago because like I get 3 days in a row that no sleep. So that's 1 day for me.
Recently, what happened was he's mayor of South Bend, Indiana.
Okay.
And go Buckeyes. He was back there. He was back there doing a town hall event, and I think it may have been about relationships with the police in the community. I don't know if it was necessarily about that, but there was an African American activist group who was there to like ask questions and just sort of like not necessarily protest at that moment, but like do what activists do and like stir up a scene and make stuff happen. And Mayor Pete had already sort of been in hot water in his community because it came out a while back that he had fired the police chief, who was the first African American person to have that position.
Holy shit.
He did it because there was a situation. I wish I had looked at this earlier. I don't remember exactly. There was a situation where I think it was a situation with another police officer who had done something, and the police chief was telling people different things about what was going on. And so the crux of it was, because of what the police chief was doing in this like tumultuous situation, Mayor Pete like couldn't trust what he was saying at all, because he was like telling multiple people different things and muddying the waters on the investigation that was going on, and it was just making everything harder. So he fired him because of that. But because of the optics of it, of him firing the first African American guy to have that job, the fact that their police department, like most police departments in America, does not actively like represent the community racially, where it's over 80% white people, when it's probably like, it's still Indiana, but it's probably more like 60% white with a heavy African American population in the other area. So there was already that issue, and also years and years ago, early on in the Black Lives Matter movement, he gave a speech, and before it had even become a rallying cry for the other side, he had said all lives matter. Oof. But it was before it had been brought up by other stuff. But the fact that there's like now a quote of him saying that adds fuel to the fire and is bad for him. So it's just this sort of churning up of the heat on him when he had pretty much just been untouched up until now, because no one had fucking heard of him until 9 months ago. So that's where he is.
I still think that that's pretty good. The only like dirt that somebody has on you is that you like fired a police chief, granted the first African American police chief, because it was like kind of muddying up an investigation, and that you said all lives matter like a year before it became the battle
Yeah.
cry for another group. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, it could be worse.
It could be Donald Trump.
And that's the thing that I'm so fucking worried about right now, dude. Is like Democrats, the only thing they know how to do better than lose is how to eat their own young.
This
Like
is
they're going.
they're like fucking.
because we see like Donald Trump and the Republicans as this pure form of evil. Like they are nothing but monsters. We feel like the Democrats need to be the opposite. Like
Mhm.
these pure white knights that do stuff. But nobody is that. So anytime anybody has like one bad thing, it becomes, oh, well then both sides are now tainted. So why does it matter? Fuck everybody.
Why does it matter?
Why does what matter?
Anything.
I mean, not anymore. Death is coming for us all. But I'm just worried about that being... Like, that's why a bunch of Bernie supporters, when he did not get the nomination, switched over to Trump. Is because...
What?
Oh, yeah, a lot of Bernie people sort of to Trump because
What?
they were both candidates of we need radical institutional change. Trump wanted to burn it all down, which is what he's doing, and Bernie was like, hey, let's just stop letting have all the rich people have all the money and do some things to make sure that things get better. So when it became Hillary versus Trump, it was, oh, they're both terrible people, but hey, at least Trump will burn it down, and Hillary's going to keep it the same. So that's why a bunch of Bernie people switched over to Trump.
I had no idea about that. That sounds ridiculous.
But it's the truth.
Holy shit.
And they're also pissed because the DNC was fucking over Bernie and was doing everything they could to make sure Hillary got the nomination, which I was furious about.
Yeah.
But
that is some fucking bullshit.
yeah, I mean that's the American voter.
Yeah.
They're just, I have my one idea, and if you don't subscribe to it, then fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah,
Yeah, fuck that.
build the wall. But the first DNC debates are tomorrow and Thursday.
How many candidates do the Democrats have?
I think most recently it's like 23 or 24.
Holy shit.
But it's only 20 people are in the debates, and it's 10 per night. So it's like they're trying to mix
I like
it up.
Buttigieg. I like
Just call him Mayor Pete.
I like Pete. I like Castro, but he's kind of weird. And then I like Yang.
Andrew Yang. Hey, free money, man.
Yeah.
Everybody loves free money.
I like Yang.
Here, I'll just go through the nights real quick.
The Knights.
Not like Knights, but the two nights. And I'm curious what you think about these people. Here we go. Night 1. Mayor Bill de Blasio.
What?
So nothing? You don't know?
Bill de Blasio. That just sounded like you were saying a tongue twister.
Nope. So you don't care? Cool.
No.
No one cares about him either. He's the mayor of New York and everybody hates him. Tim Ryan.
No.
Yep, don't care. Julian Castro.
He's okay.
I like him enough. Cory Booker.
No. Oh, yeah, fuck that guy.
He's way too much like Wall Street money for me.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren.
Nah, fuck that.
You say fuck that guy?
I was going to, but fuck that.
I like Elizabeth Warren.
I don't like it.
Beto.
Nah, fuck that.
Yeah, fuck Beto. He's Mayor Pete stole all of his thunder.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Beto is the child of Booker. Like, that's what he is. He's like an ethnically ambiguous like guy that is born of Wall Street money.
I don't know. I think Beto was like
He's
he's a Democrat, but he's progressive for Texas, so that's why everybody was so into him. But then when you see him in like a Democratic field nationally, he's way too right.
Yeah,
and he's
super for gentrification too.
I don't know enough about that, so I'll just take your word on that. Amy Klobuchar.
I don't know who that is.
I think she's okay, but I feel real bad for her because when she announced her candidacy, she's from Minnesota. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna go up to Minnesota. It's the middle of winter, and like a huge snowstorm happened, and it was like, yeah, I'm gonna stay in the snowstorm. I'm gonna give my speech and like show my toughness. Like she did good. She did fine, and there was a huge crowd of people. But then right when she was doing that, like 3 stories came out about how she is like terrible to her staff.
No.
And it was obviously a hit because it was right as she was doing her speech.
Damn it.
And it's like this is one of those things where everybody knew it in Washington, but nobody like made a big thing about it. But then all these like stories came out about how she would like throw stuff at her people and like demand stuff of them 24/7. She hit an intern in the head with a binder.
Holy shit!
They claim it was an accident, but it's like, come on, you threw a binder and it accidentally hit a kid in the face. Like, come on. So I feel bad for her. Tulsi Gabbard.
Don't know.
She's a representative from Hawaii and a veteran.
Oh, I kind of know about her.
I like her enough, but she's sort of clinging on to Biden too much for me right now, and I don't really like that. Jay Inslee, governor. Who cares? John Delaney, do you care?
The actor? Or the comedian?
John Mulaney was in the.
Oh,
that'd be
okay,
great.
Mulaney.
That'd be so
there
great. So that's night 1. How do you feel about that? Do you care about anybody?
You said Castro, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Castro.
I guess.
Yeah, night 1 is definitely like the undercard of the week.
But that's funny because not funny. It's fucked up because you know it's the undercard, but you put Castro in there. Like, why is Castro in the undercard when he's a big like he's fucking nationally known, but you got Buttigieg in the second night?
Well, here's what they did.
Racist.
So here's what they did. Because the DNC, when they were coming up with these debates, they were trying to make sure that there wasn't like an obvious like, this is the grown-ups table and here's the kids table. So what they did was they sort of cut everybody in half, and it was here are the 10 candidates that are polling over this percentage, and 10 candidates that are polling under this percentage. And they picked names out of a hat, and they got 5 for one night and 5 for another night, and then the other 5, another 5. Does that make sense? So you'd have 5 of the people polling the highest and 5 of the people polling lowest on one stage. And then the next night it would be the other 5 people polling high and the other 5 people polling low. So it would be sort of a mix of everybody. Does that make sense? You're looking at me like I'm speaking Italian.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So there's 20 candidates.
I've also been texting, so I missed that part. I'm sorry.
I've just been rolling through since you
I missed that one. I missed that last one.
So there's 20 candidates, and you're still texting, so fuck it. Fuck me.
I'm sorry. My phone's down. No, what? My phone's down. God damn it.
So there's 20 candidates.
Yes.
They made a line in everyone's polling. If you are polling higher than this number...
Oh, you're saying polling?
Yes, polling.
I was like, polling what? I thought you were saying polling. And I'm like, polling
yeah, they like
what?
have like a boat tied to a rope and they have it in their teeth and it's how far they can fall.
I'm like, I don't understand what fucking words you were saying, but okay.
Polling.
Polling.
So say it's like 3%.
Yes. Okay.
Everybody who's polling over 3% is 10 candidates, and they're in a hat. And then everybody who's under 3% are in a hat, those other 10. So for the first night, they picked 5 names out of the under 3% and 5 names from the over 3%.
Sure they did.
So that's the 10. And then everybody that was left are in the second night.
Sure they did.
So that's how they say they got it together. Because they didn't want it to just be like everybody who's in the top gets one debate and everybody who's fucking scrubs that aren't going to do anything aren't in one debate. Does that make sense?
I suppose, but in the first debate, it sounds like there's like nobody. So
Well, some of the highest profile people are on night 2, but I mean, Warren is essentially in 3rd place.
oh yeah, I forgot about Warren.
Beto is like in 6th. Booker.
Beto's in the first night.
Yeah.
Oh
Beto's
damn,
first
that's
night.
right.
Cory
That's
Booker
that's right.
and Julian Castro
That's right.
and Amy Klobuchar. Those are the big 5.
Klobuchar. I remember Klobuchar now. Yeah, okay, I remember her.
So those are like the top 5 people.
But
there.
she's the
The
employee abuser, right?
Yeah. So those were like the big 5 for their night, and
Binders can go crazy when you throw them. Like,
yeah, I mean,
she
they're
could have
not
had a trajectory.
aerodynamic.
Exactly, she could have had
They're
a
flapping around.
trajectory, and it just fucking fell like 2 feet short and pow right in the face.
Yeah, so that's how they did, and I think they wanted it like the way they're describing it. They wanted it to not be that way of like here's the kids' table and here's the adults' table, but that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Like Elizabeth Warren's just going to clean the floor with everybody.
Really, you think so?
Yeah.
I think Castro might have a chance against her. Because here's the thing. Beto's a Nimrod. Booker doesn't know shit but money. Warren's just going to try to flabbergast her mouth into saying, like, oh, yeah, remember? Like, I'm a fucking Indian. Like, I'm good. And then
What?
Castro's going to be like,
the fuck are you talking?
fuck you. I actually know some good shit because I do.
Look, I'm not saying anything bad about Castro. I like him enough. I think
He's made some suspect kind of like money exchange or acceptances from like big corporations,
Mhm.
but at least he's not pharma money, and at least he's not oil money, and at least he's not like I'm gonna pimp out the people
Yeah.
like money.
And
so
like he's got like the stamp of approval from Obama, so that's going to help him out because he was
Yeah.
the director of HUD for a while.
he was
like,
with Bernie throughout his campaign.
yeah, like he's
so.
a smart dude, and I think he's going to do well. But I don't like he's not going to win. I don't think. But I mean,
But we
what
said
you
that
were talking
Trump,
about
so.
Warren with her decision to claim Native American heritage sucks. Like it's real fucking stupid and real bad.
I just don't like her. I don't think.
Other
She's-
than that, though,
She's too old school hippie for me, but not like the right hippie. Like
how do you mean?
she's just like she's too old school, like white liberal, oblivious of what the real person in the United States is going through, especially people of color, and for her to like be like that, and then on top of that take advantage of the fact that she was for a long time believed to be part Native American, to just to find out she was a $5 Indian. Like it's just too much for me. I'm just like, you're just the same. Like people don't consider that the same as like conservative racism, but it's the same thing. You're just like taking advantage of something that within your family you've been told, and you put down a lot of other people because, again, realistically, she's born in a certain like profile. She has a certain profile. She's lived a certain profile, and she's fulfilled that profile, and it's no difference from being conservative racist. You just say nicer things and look kinder.
So I just have a few questions.
Yes.
You're talking about profile. She was born a profile and lived a profile. What does that mean?
Like she lived a certain like.
Because she was born incredibly poor.
Yeah, but like she still has. What I'm saying is like she fits that like profile of like the stereotypical like, oh, this is America, like this is what the American dream is, but that's not the American dream is not the same for everybody, because white people can, because of certain privileges and certain like capabilities that the system has built, they can climb out easier than a person of color. And for her to do that, and then on top of that claim like, oh, I'm brown too, because I'm like half Native American. That's what I'm saying. Like she fits that profile of like the stereotypical like, soccer mom that says, oh, I'm part Native American because, whatever, and we used to be poor, but we made it out. Why couldn't you? That's what I'm saying. Does that kind of help at least?
I mean, I'm understanding what you're saying. And this just could be a thing we just see differently. I don't see Elizabeth Warren as a person who is. I don't want to say, like, describe what you're saying as her looking down on people. I think it's more of like her. I understand what you're saying of her coming up and like, yes, she became like a professor at Harvard and is a senator and definitely has a lot of money and power and doing all that stuff. I agree with what you're saying about that, but knowing her record on instituting like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and being the person who is most aggressive out of pretty much anybody since the financial crisis to stop big banks from doing what they did again, and her immense policy. She has more policy than anybody out there right now. Of like, not like, I think people should have more money. Yay! It's like detailed 100-page policies that she's putting about fucking everything, and a lot of it is money based and destroying the gap between the lower and middle class and taxing the wealthy like Bernie wants, and creating systems that can help everybody in the lower class rise up on their own. So I see Elizabeth Warren as more of like that kind of a person. She definitely describes herself as a capitalist Democrat, because Bernie can sort of like describe himself as a democratic socialist. So she's like, she has similar goals as Bernie, but sees money differently as a way to succeed rather than Bernie is like, if you have money, you're evil.
I think Bernie sees it as like, we need to work together to get money rather than just like, if you have money, you're evil.
Yeah, and that's totally
fair. Yeah, I'm not a fan of her. I think here. Okay, so let me do the comparison between her and Bernie, because evidently they're like policy wise they're similar. I would rather have the person who's down in the muck with us than the person who's just like up there and just like, you know what I'm saying? Like Bernie has been down with like the rough neck, like, you know, groups. Like he's been in the movement. He's been like the guy arrested and like the guy who's protected, and you know,
there's photos of him like marching with Dr. King.
Yeah, so like I like that's my guy. That's the person I'm looking at. I know you need people in both places, but that's Bernie also. Like, you know, he's in the business room, wheeling, dealing, doing the shit that we need to do to change policy, and then at the same time he's out there like, you know, marching out. That's the kind of person. Warren, and I think it just also comes with like my own like, I think capitalism is racist in the way that we like have built upon it, and I just think Warren has just sat too long in the business room without being out on the field. So
I definitely can understand what you're saying, especially with the comparison of like tangible action between the two of them. So I can understand why you feel that way. Yeah, that's good to know.
So who's on the second night?
Yeah. So now we're at the real debate. Marianne Williamson. She's like an author and like a social activist.
Okay.
So she's not going to do anything. John Hickenlooper.
What?
Yep, exactly. Nobody. Andrew Yang.
Yeah.
Hashtag Yang Gang.
What?
Hashtag Yang Gang.
That's fucking
That's
hilarious.
what it's called. That's his fan.
That's
Yang
awesome.
Gang. So you're a Yang fan?
Yeah. Do you remember Danish?
Like the language?
Danish.
Yeah.
No, do you remember him?
No.
Okay. Well, there's a guy from LBJ, and he turned me on to him, like, because he posted about him on like Instagram, and he was like, blah blah, and I was like, who the fuck's that? And he's like, check him out. He's got like super badass policies and shit. I was like, cool. Check some of it out. I'm like, all right, I'm down.
I don't know how I feel about Andrew Yang like
Racist.
winning. I mean, how could he see all these problems with his narrow eyes?
Oh God!
Like, I think in terms of like domestic issues,
Fuck, we're never gonna be
like,
monetized.
I don't give
Holy
a
shit!
Like between like for
Sponsor
domestic
us.
issues, specifically with financial issues, he is light years ahead of everybody because he is talking about probably the biggest issue with like individual income is that like is going to be affecting us within the next 5 years, and nobody else is going to talk about it unless he had brought it up. And I'm not talking about his freedom fund, which is what he calls it, which is better than what it was before, which was like CBD or something, which sounds like a urinary infection.
But the marijuana.
Yeah, but he's talking about how automation is going to like essentially destroy like over 50% of our jobs.
Yeah.
Because like truck drivers are going to be replaced by robots, factory workers, like commercial businesses, like a lot of jobs are going to be replaced very soon by automation.
Yeah.
And that's going to fuck everything up.
Yeah.
And he's the only person to talk about that, so big props for him to make the discussion talk about that, because it's a huge problem. So I like him for that.
Well,
I've heard him talk about foreign policy, and it's not great. It's a real a lot of pussyfooting for me, and that really worried me, and so I'm a little down on that.
Okay.
But
I'll give you
domestically, I like Yang.
Okay.
Mayor Pete, I'm a Mayor Pete fan. I'll say that right off the bat. I like Mayor Pete.
I like Pete. I don't think there's anything against him.
Yeah. I don't know if he'll win, or if I necessarily would want him to. But I just like that he's changing the Democratic Party, because he is young as fuck. He's like 37.
Yeah, he, Castro, Yang, and
Biden.
I'm gonna end it. Like, I'm gonna be editing this, and it's gonna end right there. It doesn't matter what we say, baby. Alright, anyways, what happened? I guess Beto? I don't know, man. Fuck.
He's like 42 or something.
Nah, fuck that guy. He's old.
He's got gray hair.
No.
But I like him because he's
It's
talking
bad.
about like radical youth involvement and changing the conversation from these 75-year-olds like Warren, Bernie, and Biden being the face of the party. But also he's shown that Democrats can fucking learn the lessons that Republicans are teaching and use it to our advantage, because he's talking about freedom and like patriotism and
Holy shit. I just realized that we have like all 4 types of grandparents in this, like in the candidacy. It's like
the touchy grandpa.
Yeah, the touchy grandpa, the sweet grandpa, the hippie grandma, and then the really racist conservative grandma in Clinton. Who tries to...
Where'd Clinton come from?
Because even though she hasn't put her bid in, we know she's lurking in the back.
Dude, did you see what she did a few weeks ago?
No, I
It
don't know
was
if I want to.
insane.
I don't know if I want
So do you remember when it was her and Trump in the election, and Trump was doing some speech, and he was like, spoke directly like into the microphone to Russia, and was like, "Hey Russia, you know those 30,000 missing emails from Hillary Clinton? I bet it'd be really cool if you found them, and American press would really like it. Like, hey, just saying." Like, he was saying this into the microphone, like, "Hey, go hack Hillary Clinton," and all that. And then within the hour, Russian military intelligence was hacking DNC stuff, trying to do that. A few weeks ago, Hillary Clinton was on some talk show and was like, because this was a little while after the Mueller thing, and talking about how all the shit that Trump did wrong, that's obvious crimes that are just not being prosecuted. And she was saying, like, here's another example of like, how crazy would it be for like anybody to ask an enemy foreign power to like hack a political adversary. Like, it'd be so weird if I like just right now was saying, "Hey China, wouldn't it be real cool if you hacked into Trump's financial records and got us all of his tax information?" I'm sure a lot of people would be happy about that. Like, but wouldn't it be crazy if I said that? And then there were some reports of like Chinese activity doing something.
Oh my god, no.
And it was just like, oh my god. Like, it's amazing, but also, how fucking sad is this that this is our country?
God, I hate people.
Yeah. Fuck Hillary Clinton.
Anyways.
But still, that was pretty cool.
So yeah, we have all different kinds of grandparents.
So, Mayor Pete, thumbs up. Joe Biden.
No.
He is, like what you were talking about,
Yeah.
of like, way too old school, white guy bullshit.
Nah.
Like the thing that I was talking about Tulsi Gabbard getting too cozy with him on was him talking about how, yeah, I used to have like a great relationship with all these Republicans who were segregationists.
Yeah. It's just like Clinton like forgetting the fact that she was like best friends with the ex-Klan.
Or like best friends with Donald Trump for
Yeah,
forever.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Like Joe Biden, if he's the nominee, shows we did not learn our lessons from Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Because he represents so much of the same problems as her.
Oh yeah.
And if
yeah.
like I'm fine with him being here because like I respected him as a vice president.
Yeah.
But he's not the leader we need.
No.
Bernie.
I like him.
I like him enough. I
mean,
I
here's the thing. What kind of dirt have we gotten on him? Like what?
Well, there was a big problem with his campaign last year about pay discrimination between people of color and white people.
Really? Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. And he does have the baggage of his followers, the Bernie Bros, being like sort of low-level Antifa kind of people. I don't know. I just like it's weird for Bernie. Like he had a good answer for this, but he essentially won the Democratic position last time because like everybody is saying the same shit he was saying 4 years ago.
Yeah.
About taxing the rich, how he should be treating other people. Like he won that conversation, so now everybody's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
So now he has no real way to stand out because he's not nearly as radical, crazy, liberal.
Well, he's the old white guy.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, because of that, now, like, yeah, he's gonna get kicked to the curb, even though he was the OG and all that. So
like there was a reporter who asked him straight up. It was, seeing all of your Democratic competitors, a lot of them have the same positions that you have that you were pushing the last time around. So if you've essentially changed the Democratic narrative to your ideas, why are you in the race? And his response was, the better question is, why the hell are they here?
That's fucking
and it's like,
great.
Yeah, it's great. But it's still a problem for you that
Yeah.
everybody is saying the same shit you are. So
And has like is prettier essentially.
I mean,
Yeah.
him being essentially older Doc Brown is not good.
For real. I related it to like, as far as like rap goes, it's like KRS-One. He's like the original OG and doing like
radio station.
He's the OG and like this like preaching out like the against the man and this like all like he was like that guy who was like real deep in the movement, real like conscious and aware about shit. And now we had like a generation of a whole bunch of people trying to be like super like down and aware of like what's going on and blah 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 and you know whatever, and like KRS-One just kind of gets looked over by way too many people. Yeah. So
he broke through and then got forgotten after he did it.
Yeah. You never remember the first. I don't know where I was going with that, but okay.
It's sort of like never mind. It wasn't gonna go anywhere. Kamala Harris.
Nah.
You're not a Kamala Harris?
Nah.
Wow.
She's the female version of Booker. Cory Booker.
No, I know who Cory Booker is.
Oh, okay.
I'm just trying to make connections in my head.
She's got big she's real Wall Street big money, but I think hers is in more like oil or something like that. And then hers is in prison. She gets like prison money like or something like that. It's because she was a big enforcer of Bill Clinton's 3-strike rule, which is an extremely racist and obviously like marginalizing
her
law.
her time as a DA.
Yeah,
in
and then
California is not great.
and then. Oh, she passed like some extra bills that were obviously gonna be like very particular to a certain kind of people, and it was gonna become like very problematic for people of color.
I think the thing that you were talking about was it's not recidivism, it's truancy.
Yeah, something like that.
Where it's if your kids, it was not the original intention of the law, but like how everything is never the intent, but it becomes this terrible thing.
Yeah.
Where if your kids miss a certain number of days of school, like the parent could get arrested, and it happened a number of times.
Yeah,
we're like, oh, this child isn't being cared for. Let's take the parent out of the equation even more, and it's like, that's so fucked.
Yeah. So
and like she's acknowledged that for years now that was not the intention and it was bad, and she's tried to fix it, but like still, that's not good to have on your name.
Yeah. So I'm not with her. I'm not a fan.
I think she's smart and talented I think she'll do well in the debates with her lawyer background. And seeing her in Congress questioning a bunch of Trump officials and like going after Brett Kavanaugh and doing things like that, I respect her for those things. I don't know. I don't know enough about what she wants to do other than like, I'm going to do good things.
Yeah. Not sold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kirsten Gillibrand.
I don't know who that is.
She's a senator from New York, and she's one of these people. She's one of these candidates that are. I have one issue, like my issue is the climate. My issue is taking care of veterans. Her thing is like, I want to be the one who takes care of women. And so that's like her big platform is like women's equality, workplace, sexual harassment, and essentially like any woman's issue is the big thing that she's trumpeting. She has, I don't know, she's kind of a conservative Democrat for me. She's a little bit too far right in my taste of Democrat. But I don't know, hearing her talk, I like her. She's a passionate person. She went, like, a bunch of candidates have gone on Fox News to do, like, town halls.
Oh, God. Okay.
And usually, like, people take, like, one or two shots at Fox News, but she's, like, gone the hardest, like, on their airways, like, at them for being fucking pieces of shit.
God damn.
Which, that's a whole other conversation about whether it's good to legitimize them as a news organization or not.
Fox?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, fuck that. Didn't the book came out, right, of the guy who founded Fox, and then he, like, somewhere in the book was, like, the blatant creation of Fox News was to, like, demonize the other?
Oh, yeah, that's, like, the founding principle of them is their conservative bullshit. So, yeah, that's Gillibrand. Michael Bennett, who just looks like a baby. Doesn't he look like Malcolm in the Middle, but, like, the first season?
What the fuck? He does look like a baby.
And then there's like Eric Swalwell, who gives a shit.
I don't know what that is.
He's another one of those like, I'm polling at 0.5% people.
God.
So yeah, night 2 is definitely the heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
This should be real good. Because everybody's just going to be taking shots at Biden. Everybody.
Yeah, for real.
Especially people like Harris and Gillibrand.
I just want to see like Swalwell just be like, yeah, fuck Biden. Shut the fuck up, kid. Get the fuck out of here.
Or just like Biden's talking and he's in the mic. He's like, I was like, I'm not going to win, but I can get some headlines.
Oh, God. Well, that's cool.
That
shit starts tomorrow?
Yeah, the undercard is Wednesday. Main fight is Thursday. And then it's going to be like 3 months till the next one.
Holy
but
shit.
they've like changed the requirements to get into that, so it's probably going to be down to like 5 or 6 people.
Damn.
Because for this, it was you need to either have 65,000 unique donations, or you need to be polling at least 1% across like a certain number of polls. And like, so a bunch of people hit like the 65,000 unique donor mark, and that's why they're all in here. The next one is you need to either be polling at least 2%, or you need 130,000 unique donations. So that huge jump is gonna and it's both. You need both of them, not either or this time. So it's gonna cut everybody down to the knees.
Damn.
But that's where we're at.
Cool.
Fuck Joe Biden.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?